I am ramping up the power to I don't know how much. And now we're off. Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. As you saw earlier in the video, actually at the very beginning of the video, that this is now Sunday. I had done my last city crit race on Thursday. And the one on Thursday went pretty good. Pretty good meaning that I got dropped from the main group at 2.5 laps into the race and not within the first lap of the race like usually has happened. Now, I ended up about 22nd in that race out of about 32 people. As soon as I got spit out the main group, I was with a couple others, and I have that video actually, and I'll link that video below. So, one of the things that I saw is that I'm on zwiftpower.com, and so while I was 22nd in the race on zwiftpower.com, I was 20th. So that tells me that there weren't a lot of sandbaggers in there. Therefore, the question becomes for me is, was I in an appropriate field or was I in a weak field? So this race is going to tell me if the improvement that I saw in that previous race is actually valid. And today is the perfect opportunity because of the unique Zwift race offerings. So this race is at 8:30 in the morning, and there's actually 2 city crits going on at the same time on the same course, but they're 2 different events. The first is advertised as a no sandbagger crit, and there were about 27 people in the B category signed up for that. And then you have this regular city crit, and we start off with about 77 people. So I don't know if that says that the sandbaggers wanted to come here and there's really a bunch of A's in here, but I thought, okay, this is going to be a great opportunity for me. Having 77 people in here is going to give me, and I'm thinking here, a lot of places that I can hide. So where I may not get spit out in the back as early, but we'll see here. So ordinarily they have the lap count in the upper left-hand corner of the graphic in the upper middle, but they don't have it, so they just have the mileage on the right-hand side of that. Each lap is 1.2 miles for those of you in the United States, and if you're not in the U.S., then it's about 2 kilometers long. As I started this particular practice a couple races ago, I'm now racing in my big ring. And my big ring is a 55. So I have a 36.55 in the front and an 11.21 in the back. Now, you may think that's unusual gearing, and it is. It's a long story, but this is a long crit, so I may have an opportunity to tell you about that. I am starting to use my power-ups quite a bit in this race because I'm using a lot of power. And I'm getting a bit knackered at times. So I'm trying to ride that fine line between aerobic and anaerobic death. So right now I'm using the drafting boost just to get over these rollers. And I see that they're starting to line out now in the front. So typically what's happened in the past with me in these races where I get dropped early is that the pack all of a sudden wakes up, or somebody decides to just go and see if they can split things up. What I don't want to do is what often happens is that I'm stuck in like a little bit of a no man's land. I'm not in any draft. So right now we're pretty much lined out, and I'm hoping that this is not the end. So again, I'm trying to just ride that fine line between, again, the anaerobic and aerobic death. So now I'm starting to think, I'm sticking with these guys. So I'm looking at the graphic on the far right to see how many people are behind, and so we still have a good set of people behind on there, so there's no split happening, at least that's anywhere near me. So what I'm doing, I'm basically racing in my 55, 19, and when I need to dial back a bit, I'll go to my 21, and when I'm feeling stronger or I need to lay down some bigger power, I'm in my 55, 17. I have not gone to my 15 yet, and it may be a while before I do. And when I say a while, I'm not talking about this race, I'm talking about a month from now. I think I told you that in my previous race I got dropped at 2.5 laps into the race, so that's at about 6.8 miles. Right now I'm 5.5 miles. I am stretched out now, so I'm not sure if this is, if I'm going to be able to hang on or not. I'm making my bid to try and get up to those guys. I'm pushing more watts than I ever have in a race. The wattage I came out with on this race was higher than I've ever had any other races on Zwift. And it looks like that this is where my limit was. So I'm at about, let's say, 5.2 miles when I got dropped. That is almost 4 laps. 4.8 miles is halfway into this race. So now I have a little group here that I'm working with. So if you look at the graphics on the right hand side, I am at about 32nd spot. So I'm at the front of this group right now. So that's there's 31 people in front of us that have broken away. If you look at the lower part of the graphic on the right, then you'll see that there is a group that's behind us that's about 22 seconds behind us. So that seems like a pretty good size for me. I am pretty tired. I am thinking that the rest of these guys are in about the same position I am in terms of relative strength and how tired they may feel. So while we are pushing in the 3 watts per kilogram to 4 watts per kilogram, mainly closer to 3, I'm thinking, that we should be good, but we've got to keep an eye on that. So now I'm looking at those groups again, and they are at about 15 to 17 seconds. So I wish I could do something about it, but I'm doing the best that I can, and so now I'm doing a lot of riding of wheels. I'm also hoping that those people that are behind us are just a little bit weaker than us, if they're going to try and make a bid to try and get up to us, but then they're going to tire out. At least that's what I'm hoping. Not only am I keeping an eye on those graphics on the right, but I'm looking at the upper right hand corner of the map. So right now you just see our group there. Up ahead you'll see maybe a small group or a person up there that we're chasing. You don't see anybody behind us, and so that's going to be key. So we just crossed the start finish line and we're showing 3.6, so we have 3 laps to go, 3 of the 8. Now, I've been using my power-ups, but now that we're going just a little bit slower, I don't have to use them as much. And I noticed that I have a ghost power-up. I haven't read about these yet, but I'm thinking that the ghost allows you to jump away and not be seen when you activate it. So I'm going to keep that in mind. So there's that guy that's in front of us. He is dropping back from that front group. He didn't have a lot of other people to work with. It's arguably tough to work with people on Zwift, but you know, he's coming back. Turning our attention to the graphics on the right side again, there is something happening. So where it was about 17 seconds before, now they seem to be about 10 seconds away. I look at the graphics on the right, upper right, and so I don't see anybody behind me, but now I do. They're starting to come. So now it's a question of, are we going to get to the finish line before these guys catch us? They are going faster than us. So whatever the reason was, maybe it has some people that jumped out because of the network and then jumped back in. That would be kind of unusual. But they have some horsepower there. And I am just keeping my eye on that. I'm getting a little nervous. I'm liking to get something around 32nd place as opposed to something in the 40s or the 50s. All that being said, I've done better than I have in any other B race. Still, I'm here now. I want to maximize what I can do. All right, so we now have 2 laps to go. We're on these rollers here, so we just passed the 2 lap to go mark. I am keeping my eye on the graphics in the upper right hand corner now. I am not paying attention too much to the 7-second split that we have to the group. At this point, basically, it's a drag race to the finish. So my eyes are on that map. I'm keeping my eyes on everyone else in case anyone does a surge I have to address, but I think again that we're all pretty much even. Okay, so on the cobbles. Now these cobbles, I believe, give an extra aspect of resistance, but I've never really noticed that, and I've really never had any problems with them. Ordinarily at this point, I'd be thinking about what I could do to try and get away from these guys at the finish. But most of my attention is not there. It's on those graphics on the right side, especially the upper right side. And I see that that green glob that's coming toward us. We're about 1.4 miles away, and so at a certain point I'm thinking, we got to go faster, stay away from these guys. So we just picked up somebody that's got dropped from the group. So that's another placing right there. And there is the last lap to go. And actually I tried to get away and tried to increase the pace, but I just didn't have enough legs to maintain that. By doing that, I put myself in deficit. So I am trying to get toward the front, trying to stay toward the front on this rolling section, so that can have a little bit of a rest. But now here's the group, and now we are officially caught, and these guys are just starting to go by us. And I'm doing what I can to again ride that fine line between aerobic and anaerobic death, but I don't have a lot of time to play with it. I am able to get back up to the group, and that sure cost me a lot of bananas, so to speak. So it's now 1K to go, and so I'm thinking, okay, I got to use up my ghost soon. I'm going to try and get away from these guys. I have maybe one more bananas left. I go ghost, but then they all kind of figure I've disappeared, or they're coming in strong for their finish. So that was it. That ghost didn't last too long. That seemed to last like 2 seconds. I was hoping it'd be like 15, but what are you going to do, right? Okay, so now I'm trying to get back on to the reel of these guys and maybe pass a person or two, but once we take that right-hand turn, that's it, baby. There's the finish, and I come in at 44th place. The cool thing is, I wasn't lapped. I think all the other races I was lapped. I'm not sure if I was lapped in my last race. I could have been, but I'm only 110 off of the winner. And, for me, that is pretty darn good. Also, looking along that green bar there, that 3.7 watts per kilogram is my highest ever for a Zwift race, along with that 271 watt average. When you look on Zwift Power, I got 34th. So that means there were 10 people ahead of me that either were not supposed to be in this category and or had not signed up for ZwiftPower.com. I recommend anybody out there that is racing in Zwift to sign up for ZwiftPower.com. Doesn't cost you anything. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly did making it, since it was my best performance thus far in the Bs. Check out my other videos since you're here. I have a little something in there for everybody. As always, remember, comment, like, subscribe. The Cycling Greek.